This is how my Azure DevOps pipeline for Terraform deployments looks like. I've got the first Checkov static code analysis where I scan my actual static, the code, the source code. Checkov scans through my code and uh, notifies me for any of the misconfigurations or the vulnerabilities or the things that I should not expose in my source code. And then it does a few tests and it flags it. This is how it looks like, and we will be configuring this. I'll show you what Checkov is and how it actually works. If you see my screen, I've got like 36.8% test passed. So it checks all my resources, all my modules, and it will flag anything that is deemed misconfiguration or is deemed as something that should not be exposed or is a vulnerability. And so that you don't expose your storage accounts to public and those kind of scenarios. So Chekhov is just a framework which has a few policies, which is infrastructure as a code, scanning tool. So it scans your entire infrastructure as a code, be it Terraform, be it CloudFormation, be it Kubernetes, be it Helm, ARM templates, anything. You name it and you will have it. So these are the supported cloud and frameworks. We will be doing our scanning on Azure Terraform code. If you see the extensible integration interface, so you can actually have it on your IDE. So the new concept of DevSecOps, where you shift left and you make sure that before you actually push your code is up to the standard. It has the best quality of code that you have ever written, and to make sure that is the case, you have the Checkov IDE extension. So you will have an extension on your Visual Studio Code. You install it. Every time you run your code, every time you write your code, it will scan your code and tell you that, okay, this particular resource block is not particularly, not properly configured. You will need to make some changes. It will flag it, and it will also give you suggestions on how to change it. So for example, if you see my screen, let me first install the Chekhov extension. This is the extension. Let's install the Chekhov extension. By the way, it is from Bridge Crew, so you can go ahead and read the documentation. It gives you a good dashboard. You can actually plug your Azure DevOps repo in, and it will scan it on a regular basis. You can do that, or just use this extension. So for now, we are just using this extension. Let me go ahead and do the configuration. This is how you configure it. So first we need to do the sign up for our Bridge Crew community account. Let's create our account. That should open the link in your browser. Let me just use my Google account. ramakant.dadishi@gmail.com. Let me use my Google account. I hope I remember my password. Think, yeah, this is the one. Okay, let me retype my password. Cool. So we have created our account in Bridge Crew, and we just need to do a few configurations. So it will open a console, a few questions to answer, your location, and just create an account. Give the name of an organization. So it will tell you, you can actually connect your code wherever you store your code, be it GitHub or GitLab or Azure repos. You can connect it, and you can actually have the scanning done directly on your repos. But we don't want to do that as of now. Let's go to the integrations and get the API key. On the left, yeah, the last one is integrations. Let's create an API token. Give it a name, VSC, and yeah, that should be it. Let's create the API token, copy it, go back to Visual Studio Code, and you need to enter this API token in the settings page for Chekhov extension. And that should be it. Cool, we are set. The API token has been pasted. We are good to go. Let's go to one of our configuration file. Let's go to the database.df. If you see at the bottom, Chekhov is already scanning my code. So let's just wait for it to complete the scan, and it should highlight me all the issues in this particular configuration file. So if you see, my database.df has got 6 issues that it has identified, and you have this red squibble. If you go on and hover on top of it, it will tell you what the issue is. Similarly, you can go on the view command palette and actually run the Chekhov directly from here. Chekhov scan for particular configuration file. I'll show you how you use these prompts from Chekhov extension to fix the code. So our keyvault.tf has got 3 issues. So you go on top of your resource, you hover over it, and it will tell you there are like medium vulnerabilities. If you click that link, it will take you to the actual policy. So it says Key Vault does not allow firewall rule settings. So it just asks you to have a default action denied so that it's not publicly accessible. Now it depends if you actually want it or you don't. As per the security guidelines or the policy, you should always secure your key vaults. But in case you don't actually want you want to just have access policies, and you want to actually access it via the public endpoint, you can always skip that particular issue that has been identified. So you can skip that as well. And there is an auto fix option available, and when you click on that, it actually writes you the code. So it is that smart. It will generate you a comment to skip a particular vulnerability that it has identified. For some reason, it is not generating that code. That's all right, I can write it myself. Yeah, so if you see, it has created a comment, Chekhov skip equals to ckv underscore azure underscore 42. So this ckv underscore azure underscore 42 is the code for that particular vulnerability that it has identified. And you can give it a reason. and next time when it scans it, it will not identify that particular issue, and it will just bypass that. So it's kind of a skipping that, suppressing a particular alert, not an alert, but suppressing a particular code vulnerability or issue or misconfiguration, whatever you can say. For example, I'm just trying to skip this particular Chekhov code. We do not need the purge protection. And the moment you save it, it actually starts running again. In the bottom left, you can see the Chekhov is scanning my code. And if you see, we have, initially we had like 3 identified issues, and we have fixed 2. And this is the 3rd one. Let's fix this. Let's suppress this one. So this is how you skip that particular Chekhov code. So we had 3 issues. We have fixed all 3 of them, and it was all Chekhov which has helped us to fix that. So this is actually the part of DevSecOps where you shift left before you actually push your code into the repo for the pipelines to get triggered. Your code already is in the top quality that is expected. Let's run a Chekhov scan again. Let me save it first, and the moment you save it, it runs the Chekhov scanning. Now if you see on the left, we have fixed everything on the keyvault.tf. Let's do the same for our database.tf. So we have got a few issues identified here. There are like 6 issues that Chekhov has identified, and we need to fix all 6 of them. So there are few issues which it will prompt you to, it will prompt the code that will fix it. If there is no direct fix available, it will ask, give you the option to skip it. So the minimum TLS 1.2, that's what it identified, and it asked us to fix that. And we used the autofix. It generated the code. So basically, it's kind of an AI. It prompts you what you need to. It is. I'm not sure whether it is actually. It is just a framework in Python that they have developed for all the policies and the fixes for that. And it generates the code. But it's very cool to use. Like if you are using any sort of infrastructure as a code, you should have Chekhov or any other scanning for your infrastructure as a code, so you don't push any vulnerabilities in your infrastructure. Let me skip this particular one. I don't need auditing here, so I can skip that. Scanning again. So this is how you actually use Chekhov to make your code like properly configured. Properly configure your infrastructure as a code. You do not miss anything that can create an issue later. This is part of the DevSecOps shift left ideology. So everything is fixed in your code while you're actually coding, and when you push, you have a really good quality code available in your repos to trigger the pipelines, and you don't have to worry about anything that you have missed. So I'll quickly, yeah, just fast forward this and fix all the issues that we have identified. Let me just skip all the next three issues that it has identified. We have fixed the issues in our database.tf and keyvault.tf. There are two more left. I'll just quickly just skip those, and I'll show you how when you push your code already fixed and the Chekhov test that you have configured in your Azure DevOps pipelines, it will show that your pass rate has improved. I'll fix a few of the storage ones as well, the quick ones. And there you go. Terraform format. We are good. I think I just want to show you how, let me just push this particular branch. I just want to show you our pipeline, the test that we have configured in our pipeline, that how the visual representation where you will see that our pass rate has improved because we used the extension on our IDE, and before our pipeline, before the tests in our pipeline would show you some issues, we would have already identified in our code while we were actually coding in real time. We will fix it. We'll only push quality code. So that's the whole idea about DevSecOps, the shift left mentality. This is our pipeline. Let's create a PR. PR validation is also done. Yeah, let me create a quick PR into main. We have got a PR validation step. So anything that goes, like when we merge our feature branches into the main, the PR validation step pipeline gets triggered. It just does a bit of checking on the syntax of your code and generates a plan, so you know what it's gonna do. But if you see my PR validation, if we compare our PR validation from the previous one, we will see there is an improvement. So the first step, which is our Chekhov static code analysis, has completed. If you see, we have got 36.8% tests passed. And if we compare it with our previous run, we had a failure. But yeah, I know why it has failed, but I don't want to go there. I just want to show you the Chekhov static code analysis. This is the test tab where you see all the code, all the Chekhov tests that have failed and that have passed. And previously, before this, we had the Chekhov percentage as 29. So since we used the Chekhov extension on our Visual Studio Code, we were able to improve the test pass percentage. And that's the whole idea. Like when you push your code into your repo, it should be quality checked, it should be proper, it should not be having any vulnerabilities, any issues, and all these policy as a code from Chekhov is an amazing tool to use for your infrastructure as a code. And that's all for today. We have seen how to use Chekhov and how to improve your uh, code, I mean infrastructure as a code, improve the quality of it, and not to push any vulnerabilities in your pipelines. So thanks for watching. We like keep supporting, and yes, I'll be back with another video